Hey, Money Magicians, how are you? Today is Winning Wednesday, but I'm skipping Winning Wednesday for today. I wanted to do a live video. So, probably a lot of TMI, overshare, right? But my students know this, that actually a lot of the videos and the amount of videos that I do is based on my cycle. Yes, I do a lot of work according to my feminine cycle. So I'm not going to explain to you when I do the most videos, but you'll see that there's 1 week in each month where you'll get like 3, 4, or 5 different videos, right? All in a week, and then you'll get like one video a week for the rest of the time. So I shared with the Money Magic students on how that works. And why are you so dressed up? This is how I dress. I'm not dressed up. This is how I dress. I love wearing white, right? So white is like my spirit color. At least that's what my spirit guides told me for the next few years. So I wear a lot of whites. I have all these white clothes. And remember, Honey is my designer and the person that picks all my clothes. So a lot of my clothes are often like made by Honey, who's this designer. So they're always going to be extra. But what can I do? That's what I get for having Honey for a sister, right? So thank you. Wanted to say she looks fabulous this morning. Oh, thank you guys. Thank you, thank you. Let's talk about this whole concept. Let me introduce myself. Yeah, so I was talking about working according to my cycle. So I share that in the student group. My students will remember this. I hope they remember all the different ways that I shared that cycles work and everything. So yeah, if you've just joined us, my name is Vangile Makwakwa. I'm the founder of Wealthy Money, and I'm the host here at the Wealthy Money Magicians Group. I teach women to liberate themselves from their ancestral money stories so they can fall in love with their bank accounts, increase their income, and increase their savings and investments, right? So today, I really wanted to talk about how we go after our financial goals, but at the same time, we have this thing where we've been taught, visualize, right? And then we visualize to death, but some things like work out really fast, some things don't, and we get really frustrated, or we reach the vision and we self-sabotage. And I really want to go deeper in that because I've been doing a lot of work. So over at the Wealthy Money Magic student group, so for the Money Magic course, the students, we started doing the lesson 0 Spirit of Money meditations, and I suggested that we do these for 21 days. The Spirit of Money meditations are a whole thing on their own, right? But for me, I also love to do inner child work and inner teen work. So that's where you heal the inner child and the inner teen. So one of the things that I've really been avoiding, even though I teach this work and I coach it, right? I also have my own traumas and I come with my own baggage. And I shared that last week. I hired a coach because of this, because I need someone to help hold the space at least once a week where I can come, debrief, go deeper in certain memories. So one of the things that I really didn't want to do work on was my teenage years. So let me just explain a little bit. So in my teens, from the age of like 14, I was already in therapy. I was highly depressed. In grade 10, from at the age of 15, I was a runaway. I would run away from home. I ran away and lived in a brothel house in Hillbrow, right, in South Africa, if you're watching this, which is like a really dangerous part of South Africa. And so when I was 15, and there was so much going on at home, because you must understand, often teens don't just run away from home because they want to, right? It's because something deeply traumatic is happening at home. And no, I wasn't getting sexually abused, because till this day, a lot of my classmates actually have asked me, and I remember my grandmother asking me if that was why I was running away, with someone at home touching me inappropriately. But it wasn't that. There was a lot of violence. There was a lot of physical abuse. So I guess in my family, there was like this, oh, as long as someone's not touching you inappropriately, it's not a bad thing. But there was a lot of verbal abuse, emotional abuse, just like violence, undercurrents of violence with the family, right? And it wasn't just directed towards me or my sister. It was like everyone in the family was extremely violent in their words, in their actions, constant shouting. And I think if you have a teen, I guess for me, I was very sensitive to things like that. Like the energy was really scary for me. So having to go in and heal memories around this, and often around money, because these things were tied to money, is really, really scary for me, right? I feel like over the last week, I've made huge strides, because I spent hours and hours doing the inner teen work. And heck, I'm talking about it now, right? Which I'm sure, I don't think I've ever like really talked about my runaway past, right? So, yeah, so one of the things that I realized is I've been talking a lot here in these videos about wanting to expand, and the concept of semi-retirement for me, and wanting to work on semi-retirement. And for me, I'm taking this really seriously, right? This goal that I've set, that by the end of December next year, I want to really see movement on this and be really talking, hey, I'm semi-retired. So I'm sharing the journey, I'm sharing everything, because I feel like, okay, I paid off $60,000 in debt, or 600,000 or 700,000 or whatever in rands in debt over the last few years, and I've been able to build a company and start traveling, and now I live in Thailand and all that. But the next frontier for me is this, right? So it's this concept of semi-retirement, because I've never seen anyone, I've really seen it, but I've always wanted to do it, but I've never seen anyone in my family do it. So one of the things that I had to go through, had to do the last week, was go into a memory in my inner teens, where I started looking at what happened when family members spoke about money and someone in the family was doing better than everyone else. So this is huge. We often don't even realize what that looks like. But when we expand as people, we often go, oh, but when I expand, I lost friends and people got jealous and blah, blah, blah. But what happened? How much of that is also from our trauma that we're recreating in our friendships, and that we're recreating in our families, that when we expand, we lose people along the way? Where did we learn that? So one of the big things that's been coming up for me, that I've been sharing with the Money Magic students, is this fear that if I start sharing these big dreams and the things that are really happening in my life, then I will lose love. Then people will be like, oh, that one, she's such a bragger, oh, look at her, she's so full of herself, right? And there's that deep fear that I will lose love. So I started to ask myself, where did I learn this, that expansion and allowing yourself to play at a bigger level and just step into your greater self leads to you losing love, or leads to people withdrawing their love, right? So it's something that I must have learned. It's not just like I just decided that that's where it comes from, and that it has to be this deep fear within me. With the memory family meeting, nothing was being said about money, but as they started talking a little about who's doing what in the family, all the family members, my aunt, my uncles, and my mom, everyone's talking, I started to see how there's this underlying current of violence when everyone's talking, like anger. And for 13-year-old child, that is like, I'm not able to really deduce that, okay, it's not going to turn into full-on violence. I could feel my whole body contract, right? But there's this whole thing that, oh, you think you're better than us, so people are telling everyone else that is doing better in the family, oh, you think you're better than us just because you give money, and my mom is angry because she feels like she's been taken advantage of, and everyone's screaming that she thinks that she's better than them, right? So there's this sense of, oh my God, they're angry at her for expanding, but I'm a kid, so I'm not able to deduce and look at the deeper layers of things. So what happens in that situation? So if you have similar trauma, and I know I did this with Zandile in the coaching video, right? So it's basically, you look at this and you feel the violence. So I could literally feel how my body is holding on to this violence, right? And this threat of violence and this deep, deep fear that it feels like, oh my God, I'm going to be killed. This is like death, that there's going to be violence that breaks out. So there's a part of me that associates expansion and being out there and doing your best and even sharing about it, right, with violence. And forever that becomes tied to the story of money. So so this is very similar to the coaching video that I did with Zandile, right, where once we broke through that thread, she was able to then change her entire money story, right? But I mean, there's layers and layers. So this was just one layer. And for me, it was tied to expansion. So this is so fascinating, because then you could say, but so what proof do you have that by changing this, everything starts to change for you in terms of finances? So here's the crazy thing, right? So I started to shift this throughout the weekend. I did a lot of self-coaching where I went into my body, did breathing exercises, started doing angelic healing, did all the money magic meditations, but as one, I basically brought them into one big conglomerate and just used my guides, right? And as soon as I finished that, I suddenly had so many people contacting me for my services. Hey man, what do you do? What do you, how much do you charge for this? What is this? Like, when is the Money Magic course opening? It's been absolutely incredible. So I was like, wow, this is actually phenomenal. So I could visualize expansion all I want. I've got people suddenly asking about coaching, asking about a bunch of things, you know, and I'm saying, oh, okay, give us a few days and then we'll decide on the payment plan, et cetera, et cetera. So for me, that really reaffirms the value of this work, that you can visual. So what I started to see is that I could visualize, oh, I want to do ABCD, I want to grow wealthy money in this way, ABCD, but I couldn't always feel even into the vision of my future, because the fears of expanding to the level that I really want to expand are still like, there's a part of me that's like, it's okay to expand. There was a part of me that was like, it's okay to expand to this level, but beyond this level is danger, like it's imminent death. So no matter what the other part of my brain was saying, creative visualization, seeing into the future, feeling into that, the survival part of the brain always trumps that visualization part. So that's why you can hold a vision for years and years, and it's still, and as soon as you even reach that vision, you completely start to self-sabotage. In fact, I just shared a video in the Money Magic group where this guy was sharing how there was a lady who was losing weight, and they did a whole study, and she went from 200 and something pounds to 138 pounds. She lost her goal weight, and she lost her weight, all the weight, and then she reached her goal weight, and everything was going well until a guy hit on her. And him hitting on her triggered her childhood traumas around rape. So she went straight back to eating and gaining the weight, because the weight was protecting her, so she wasn't seen. She wasn't considered beautiful, so she was safe from men, right? The whole idea of that, what society considers beautiful, but it was her way of protecting herself. So it's the same when it comes to money, is that you'll do great and maybe you're able to overcome the survival instinct for a few years, and then something will happen and you're right here, you've just reached the goal, you're triggered, and you go back into survival mode, and the brain goes, ooh, this is the point where I'm safe financially. So I need to get rid of all this and get here so that I am safe financially, because that's your brain trying to protect you. So I've basically had to go back, and I'm still doing this continuously. And I'm using a lot of the money magic work, but also using my own self-coaching, right? And today I hope in coaching to work on one particular memory with my coach where I'm having a hard time. This is why I have a coach, right? Because there's some memories I'm like, it's so freaking painful. I just need someone to help me, to guide me, to hold the space, because I don't want to do this. Yeah. So anyway, that's one of the things that I started to realize, that actually, if we keep trying to work on the vision, but we're not able to work with the survival part of our brain that holds us captive and that's trying to keep us alive no matter what, then self-sabotage is the nature of the game, right? Then we're basically taking longer to get through things. And you'll feel it in your body. You'll feel like it will come out as procrastination. You'll want to achieve the vision, but you'll be procrastinating. It will feel like absolute and utter resistance in your body. You know, you'll have this financial vision, but it will almost be like there's a part of you that acts out of yourself, where you start to do the exact opposite of what you're supposed to do to reach the vision, right? You'll have an action plan, but you can't put the action plan into place because everything, it's not about your conscious mind. It's absolutely about the childhood traumas and everything that you've associated around money. As a child, the energies, the tensions you felt in the family around money. And again, it will be something that's happening on a daily basis. I can't actually stress this enough, right? Because often we're told that it's about holding on to the vision and working super hard, but actually then you're just like trying to fight the survival part of your brain, and that takes so much energy. And I started to realize this weekend, as all this was coming through, I was sharing with the Money Magic students that, there was, when was it? I don't know if it was Sunday or Monday, where I shared with them that, oh my God, I'm doing this inner teen meditation and I'm literally having this lump in my throat. And it didn't matter what I did for the weekend, the lump was still there. And it's out. And I did a little bit more meditation and I shared with them in the group. I had this insane release where I started crying for like 30 whole minutes, because I started to realize, oh my gosh, my entire family, my whole life has been about me running from these undertones of violence, the fear that people will erupt into full-blown violence and fists and start hitting each other, and how this entire fear drove me to run away, depression, all sorts of things, how I was constantly packing my bags, how I started, but also I also shared how part of why I started traveling was to run as far away from my mom's family as I could, right? So it's like it's this blessing and this curse all rolled into one that I had to let out of my body. And I had this wow moment where I was like, oh my God, all this is energy that is pent up. So every time I try to move, it's like I move forward, and I was like, oh my God, it's a miracle that I've actually been able to do so much with all this pent up energy. But I understand it's a lot to do with the constant work and the layers that I've been releasing, right? So every expansion has brought a layer that I've cleared, layers upon layers, right? So it's just like I saw how that energy is basically stuck, and it's basically not just me putting all the energy into forward momentum, but it's me also putting energy into fighting myself. And I was like, wow, you know? And now I'm frozen. Okay, so I froze for a while and I kept quiet, but I was saying it's about me putting all that energy in myself. So imagine that most times when we're dealing with deep traumas that we want to ignore and we want to pretend they're not happening, we're just going to focus on the future. We're not even aware that the past is actually impacting the future, right? Is that here you are, you're putting all this energy into, oh my God, I'm going to move forward. But then here's another part of your energy that's divided that you're going, I'm going to put this energy into fighting myself, fighting the survival instinct that I have in my brain. I'm going to fight that reptilian, ancient part of my brain that keeps me alive. So now you've got split energies. What would it feel like to have all your energy focused on one thing? Not just on fighting the past, but also just being in the present and focused on the future. That's what healing does. This is the whole purpose of healing the past. And I was even like, oh my God, this is why I do this work. Oh my God. Like, I finally was just like, oh my gosh, I always knew it, but I think this weekend was amazing, especially because as soon as I finished, from like Monday to even today, people were messaging me, asking about coaching, asking about all the stuff. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. Like, people are like, we want to sign up for ABCD immediately. And I was like, I knew this is the point of this work, but this is just for me to see how my deepest fears around not going into the pain of my teens actually wasn't helping me, because it was easier for me to do inner child work. But the inner teen stuff, I'd go, put my foot in it for like a little while, and then just run away all over again, because that's been my nature for years. Like, I started running from the time I was 15, and I just never really stopped when it came to my teen traumas, right? So the things that you're trying to run away from, they're actually the things that are holding you back. And they hold all of us back. Even my ish holds me back, right? It's like, wow, like, really we need to heal to move forward. So yeah, that's my spiel for today. Thanks, guys, for joining. Let me know if this resonates. Let's have a conversation in the group. We'll do #Winning Wednesday next week again. Yeah, I'll be back to doing these videos because cycle stuff, right? So this is just a happy week for me, which started on Friday. So you guys got like videos Friday, Saturday, Monday, today, and by Friday, I'll be back to normal. I promise you, I won't want to be doing as many videos and talking to humans as much. Okay, and if you're interested in learning more about my coaching, here is the coaching website. Hit me up. I'll go to the coaching page at wealthy-money.com/coaching. Okay. My computer still has a thing about typing in the O, okay? It's really interesting since it got rained on. Oh, wait. Okay. Yeah, there we go. So wealthy-money.com/coaching. This is basically the work that I do, right? And I truly believe that for us to move forward and heal, we need to clear the stuff from the past that's triggering us and keeping us in prison. So have a fantastic day. I'll talk to you guys in the group. Let's have a discussion. What are some of your aha moments? What are some things that you've seen around family? What are some things that you've sensed as a child around family and money? The unspoken things. Like I said, my family never ever broke into fists and fighting physically. Sometimes they did, but most times they didn't, right? But there was no real blood spilled, but there was a sense for a little kid that it could be there, because I could sense that level of anger and that potential for violence, because I am an empath, right? And I do a lot of spiritual work. So it's not like I just woke up and started having the ability to sense things. I've always had it, and it just like really freaked me out because I didn't know that the adults would be rational, right? Because I was sensing a whole different thing. Okay, so have a fantastic day. I can't wait to hear what you guys got out of this, and keep sharing in the comment section. Cheers.